Kai Asakura got exposed at UFC 310. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Fight Franchise and our recap and review of the main event of UFC 310, where Alexandre Pantoja successfully defended his flyweight world title, I almost said bantamweight, flyweight world title against Kai Asakura in a dominant performance where he exposed the champion from Ryzen coming in on his UFC debut. This is what I predicted months ago. This was a video I put out back in, I think, whenever it got announced Kai Asakura was coming to the UFC. I said he would get exposed in the UFC. I mainly said that because he originally stated he wanted to go to bantamweight, and I said he was going to be too small for bantamweight. He made the right decision to come in at flyweight, but when he picked and he got his first flyweight matchup, he got the best flyweight in the world at this current moment, Alexandre Pantoja, and it was a jump up in competition he was not ready for. Going to give my kind of preview for the fight, overview of the fight, the review of the fight, and what I want to see for both guys going forward. So coming into the fight, there was a lot of points I made about Asakura. He is a very talented fighter, a very good offensively striking fighter, has got flaws in his game. He can get clipped on the feet a lot, very reckless. And another thing to point out that I said at the end of my preview for this fight, he's never really fought in an octagon before. He's probably trained in them before multiple times, but training and fighting is two different things. You know, if training was the metric for everything, you know, Uriah Hall would be one of the best fighters of all time, because what everyone said that guy could do in the training room and he was unreal. But when it came to actually in that octagon, you know, Uriah Hall would consistently underdeliver. He had so much potential that he never lived up to. But that was another thing I said, you know, going from a ring to fighting in a cage is completely different, and it showed. So yeah, both guys squared off, and Pantoja came into this fight like, you know, put some respect on my name, which I loved, because I'll say this as well, when I did my pound for pound list, I think I put Pantoja 10th, which I now look back at as highly disrespectful. Pantoja came out all the guns blazing for this fight. He came rushing forward for Asakura and was like, yeah, let's go. And they were striking early. Even though Asakura was the taller fighter and looked like the much bigger fighter, Pantoja's reach and his power was clipping Asakura early. And there was a moment that he blitzed in and he clips Kai Asakura. I believe it was with the right hand. Asakura backs up against the fence and then he kind of stumbles down and Pantoja's got the takedown. And the one thing about Alexandre Pantoja, he's a very fast starter. He puts the pace on you early. And one of the things I love he tries to do, he knows where his success is going to be. It's with the submissions. He tries to look for submissions early. He tried to do that, but Asakura did well, reversed the position, worked his way back up to his feet, and they were both kind of striking back and forth. Huge exchanges, they were trading back and forth. The one thing to note about Asakura, rapid, and he is rapid with closing the distance at certain moments. He was closing the distance and landing on Pantoja. The one thing I've said about Pantoja, this guy has a bowling ball for a head. He can't be finished, he can't be KO'd. It'll take a proper flush shot to take him out. And Asakura lands on Pantoja. Pantoja eats it, like, yeah, and what you got? Keep coming. And Pantoja's just closing him down, using his cardio, using his ferocity to kind of just keep Asakura on edge. The one thing I will say, Asakura, when he fights, is very relaxed. He's very calm, which is a benefit to him, but he can be a bit too calm at times when you need urgency. That's for like certain fighters, but wasn't needed in this fight because it didn't go all 5 rounds. But there was a moment in the fight where Pantoja, you know, he shot for a takedown and Asakura came up with that flying knee. Pantoja dipped down low enough where the impact hit the thigh and was at the knee flush, so he was safe from that. But the first round was a back and forth round, but Pantoja clearly won. Let me see if I can get the significant strikes up, because I saw the stats for the significant strikes and it kind of shocked me. Let me see if I can get it up, because I think Alexandre Pantoja, he landed double the amount of strikes that Kai Asakura landed. I think he just outworked him in that first round. Let me just see the stats, because I was quite shocked when I saw the stats, because they fight at such a frantic pace, these flyweights do, but it's like, what the heck is going on half the times? Let me just have a look if I can see. Yeah, round one. So round one, Pantoja threw 50 total strikes, landed 32, and then Asakura threw 40, landed 27. So he's throwing a huge volume of strikes and he lands at a pretty good clip, Pantoja does. That's one thing about his fights when you look at his metrics, like against Royval, Erceg and Moreno, he lands at a very significant clip. So he's a very effective striker, Pantoja is. Even though he's very small, he's like a little tank and he just lands effectively, but wins the first round. Second round comes out and more of the same. They get into a clinch situation and he gets Asakura up against the fence and he kind of gets the back of Asakura and they've just kind of stalled position. And I think it was Jason Herzog, the referee, was creeping closer thinking, do I step in and separate? But it hadn't been that long. This is the one thing I will say I think helped Pantoja win this fight. I think Asakura has never been in that position before because he fights in rings. Because rings, there's nowhere really you'll struggle to hold people up. You can bounce off rings. He's just kind of held him on the cage, and I think Asakura just thought for a minute. He was like, "Yeah, I'm safe. I'm safe." Where Pantoja knows, I've got him up against the fence. I'm going to work my way into another position. Asakura kind of slowly works his way off the fence, and then Pantoja kind of just sinks him to the ground and gets the takedown. And this is one thing is consistently seen throughout Pantoja's fights. He always somehow manages to get his opponents back. Whether standing or on the ground, he gets their back. And he gets the back of Asakura, and then he's like, okay, let me fight for this choke. Cinches up the choke, gets it in, puts Asakura to sleep, and he's celebrating and he's defending his world title. Crazy, crazy pace, crazy win, and a brilliant win by Alexandre Pantoja. You know, this guy, he's becoming one of my favourite fighters. He became one of my favourite fighters, actually, off the back of the Alex Perez win, where he won in like a minute 13 seconds. It was like a flawless performance. Like, when people talk about the greatest performances in MMA, you normally think of these 5-round piece amount decisions, or you think of a brilliant artistry work like Conor versus Eddie Alvarez, where he's piecing him up on the feet. But that Alexandre Pantoja versus Alex Perez performance was flawless and one of my favourite performances in MMA. It's just how quickly he goes in, gets the back, chokes him out in about a minute 10. He's like, yeah, and what? Took no damage. And obviously he took a bit of damage going into this fight, but this was one of his best performances in the octagon. And to submit this guy coming in, you know, Asakura had a lot of hype. I think Alexandre Pantoja was being disrespected going into this fight, and people were just like, you know, Asakura is going to do him over. Pantoja is one of the best fighters in the world right now. He's got, I think, now his 3rd title defense. He's on a brilliant run in this division, you know. He's putting up a heck of a streak, and he's lapping the division at this point, you know. Royval's next. He's already beat him twice. What, Moreno after that? He's beat him 3 times. Who's next for Alexandre Pantoja? You know, what an incredible win. What an incredible fighter, you know. And hopefully next year we see more of the same by him, because he's putting up together, hopefully he can put up together some of a run. And, you know, we have an argument for who is the greatest flyweight and soon of all time. Is it Demetrious Johnson? Is it Alexandre Pantoja? Pantoja did say, Demetrious Johnson, come out of retirement. Let's fight. Who's going to take that? I would love to see that fight. If I was the UFC, I'd do the smart decision. Build the bridge with Makayev again. Bring Makayev in and give him his title shot, because it's a fresh matchup. To be honest with you, nobody wants to see, and this isn't no disrespect to Brandon Royval, he's kind of handedly beat you twice. No one wants to see Moreno again being handedly beat 3 times. Kara France could be a fun matchup if we can give him the title shot, because Kara France just beat Steve Erceg. So if they want to do that, I'm down for that. But build the bridge as well. Bring Makayev back and give Makayev the shot. It's just give Pantoja the chance to build a legacy, a foundation of legacy. Because if you keep feeding him the same matchups, you're all going to say, oh, Pantoja wasn't that great. He beat the same guys. Give him fresh matchups. Bring back Makayev. Give him Makayev. Then give him Kara France. Then maybe bring back Demetrious Johnson. And I know Demetrious Johnson said no. Here's the catch, I would say. If you were going to make Alexandre Pantoja versus Demetrious Johnson, you give Demetrious Johnson a boatload of cash, and you also give Alexandre Pantoja a boatload of cash. And here's why. Demetrious Johnson takes that fight, wins. You give Alexandre Pantoja a crap ton of money, and he can sit out for a year. Demetrious will vacate the belt after, and that leaves the flyweight belt just hanging there. If you give Alexandre Pantoja enough cash and say, look, we're giving you X amount of money, and if you lose, you have to sit out for a year, it gives the flyweight division a chance to breathe air and going forward if Demetrious Johnson wins. If Alexandre Pantoja beats Demetrious Johnson, we have a hell of a talent on our hands and somebody who we can promote going forward, which is great for the flyweight division, because the flyweight division is entertainment galore. They put on some of the most fun fights. Even Joshua Van and Cody Durden was a fun fight. These two, great fight. They always just put on this electric fight. So yeah, credit to Alexandre Pantoja, a brilliant win. As for Asakura, unlucky, you just lost against the best flyweight in the world. No shame there. Going forward, booking him in some fun fights. You've got Moreno sitting there. You've got Royval. You've got Albazi. You've got Cara France. You've got some decent matchups going forward. If I was the UFC, I wouldn't give him anyone in the top 6 or 7 that could be a loss, because the last thing you want is him losing 2 in a row. Give him someone from 7 to 15 range, which is a winnable matchup on the main card of a pay-per-view, so he can get that big stage win and get his UFC career started, because the last thing you want to do is derail the hype train coming in, like Ben Askren, for example, and just, yeah, you're done, whatever. This is something that he's a star and he can become a big star. You just need time to nurture and grow him, akin to how the UFC has done to Paddy Pimblett. Do the same with Kai Asakura. What did you guys think of Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Asakura? Did you enjoy the main event? Do you think Alexandre Pantoja, where do you rank him in the top 10 of the UFC currently? I think genuinely, he could genuinely be top 7. He could be 7th at the minute. You could even sneak him in at 6th. I think he is 1 or 2 title defenses off the top 5 or top 4. It's a shame, really. It's just the strength of competition. He doesn't get it in the flyweight division, but he is putting on a heck of a run, great performances and great wins, and he is one of the best champions in the UFC at the moment. Where do you rank him in the pound for pound rankings? Put that down in the comments below. Leave a like if you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more MMA and fight content coming soon. We hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you in the next one.